And there we are.
Hey, everybody!
Hey, what's going on?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back
Right.
to another Water Cooler Wednesday. We are here.
We're here. It's Wednesday, and we always enjoy bringing great topics to you concerning real estate. And
Mm.
this week, our special guest is Eric Johnson with Goose.
EJ. Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
With Goosehead Insurance, and he's got. We're excited today. We're going to talk about insurance and some of these raising costs and just the different things about insurance, because insurance is definitely an important part of the home buying process, right, Lisa?
Necessary. It's you can't buy a house without it.
Can't get it. So
Not with
let's
financing anyway.
right. You gotta have it at least in your escrow when you're doing the FHA. But otherwise, if you're doing conventional, can you have it outside yet? You don't have to have escrow, so you don't have to worry about it, but you gotta have it,
You still
right?
gotta have it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have to put 20% down and I have an escrow. But yes, you still got to have it either way. There's no way around it. You need it. You buying a house, you getting financing, you going to need insurance.
Need insurance. All right. So let's welcome, I guess, Eric EJ. Hey EJ, what's Goosehead Insurance? Tell us a little about Goosehead.
It's a bit of a unique even name. Oftentimes it means just because you see Goosehead Insurance, a lot of times people are may make it equivalent to like Allstate Insurance, which is a insurance company and an agency. Insurance State Farm is also an insurance company and an agency. Like those two examples, we're just an agency, just a brokerage in multiple carriers, depending on the product, somewhere of 60 or plus carriers. They're around 85% of the market. So we have more than one company versus the other examples, which are great companies, one company.
Right. So somebody could come to you and they can just get a can one stop shop, right? Just kind of shop and figure
It's
out
like
what's
one of
the
those
best rate.
situations where, you got multiple children, right? You're not going to go to a shoe store that only sells 11s. You want to go to a shoe store that has a variety of situations and fits. And so it's just like that. You got 60 different companies, which allows you to shop. Your personal price is based, but each individual company has experienced their own rates. And so those rates are going to vary to some degree amongst each carrier. So instead of just going to one carrier, what we have, and this is the only thing on the market, it will save you time by shopping areas that you haven't even heard of. Most people are only familiar with a handful of carriers, and those handful will be the only ones that actually do a lot of advertising, spending a lot of money on advertising.
Yeah.
And so most consumers are only familiar with those insurance companies, and I would only probably be familiar with them if I wasn't in the industry. But not my opinion, but AM Best, which is a third-party individual rating company, rates these insurance companies across the board based upon strength and some other metrics, like those other companies we mentioned earlier, are A+ rated, meaning that you don't have the ability to pay a claim and so forth, or their financial stability, or going insolvent, which that will probably pop up in one of the later questions about the increasing cost of insurance.
All right. So she ready to jump into the questions.
I thought this gonna be a touchy-feely, happy go lucky type of thing. This is just like a Senate hearing.
We got right.
Feel like y'all called me in to put me on the hot seats.
I know.
Yeah, basically.
Shine that light on you so this
Right.
Just like an ambush.
exactly right. You start sweating. And you're like, oh Lord,
Yeah.
We
right.
got confidence in you, EJ. You can handle it.
Exactly, exactly. There you go.
Nice.
All right. So EJ, let's go into our first question though. So we've been seeing like a lot of the homeowner insurance premiums rising a lot, in Chicago, and I assume maybe in other areas as well. Uh, why is the premiums rising so much in Chicago right now?
The truth of the matter is, I know that Chicago or Chicagoland is our primary concern because that's where we practice at, right? But the truth of the
Yeah,
matter is, this is not just a Chicago thing; it's a countrywide thing.
Mm,
Some parts of the country are facing these more challenges because of like coastal exposures,
hmm,
namely like Florida and some of the other East Coast, West Coast with the storms, particularly like the southeast region. And oftentimes I don't want to get into like too much of like structures of insurance companies, but because these risks are so severe, oftentimes the insurance companies are like separate insurance companies, right? Separating some to some level of risk, meaning the one company that I worked with for basically 19 years. That if you really look at them, it's called State Farm Insurance Companies. So there's multiple companies that actually separate as a result of the risk. So there's about a handful of primary drivers with this, and one of them is uh, this unpredictable type of weather or abnormal weather that we've been having. So
okay.
there's a lot of different functions in insurance. I'm a salesperson. I was an underwriter. There's claim functions. There's statistical people who handle that, like the actuaries. But a lot of insurance is based upon historical data. And unfortunately, as a result of what we think is global warming, or some people don't believe there's a such thing, but the truth of the matter is our weather has been uncharacteristically
yeah,
unstable and different. So as a result of that, we've had increased numbers of storms. So much money is put in a kitty for storms, and those
hmm,
storms are predicted based upon historical data to say our average storm exposure, or how much is going to typically happen, is going to be this, and
right.
it
They
should
got the
have this amount of
mathematicians
money
out there looking. Mm,
put away for it. But
yeah,
unfortunately, the frequency, meaning the number of these storms, and the severity, how bad these storms are, have continually increased. So as a result of that, that out creates a deficit, and that deficit has to be made up, and that deficit is made up with an increase, right?
yeah,
So that's partially it. These a rise in severity and frequency of storms, not just in our area, but insurance, the way most insurance is priced, is based upon the spread of risk. So it's not, just what, Dion is doing. It's that collective group, right? It's
yeah.
the spread of that risk. So that's part
It's
of it.
Dion's cousins over in California too, is what they doing.
Yeah, it is some effect from, nationally what's going on. Can I tell
Yeah.
you exactly how much that equates, or that, I mean, not equate, but actually drives up our individual? No, but these are just like generalities. One of them is definitely the cause that we've been having more storms, more catastrophes, and so it's an increase of that. And so that's one of probably the most,
Right.
the biggest piece that's driving it, from what I understand, what we're exposed to. Secondly, will be the cost to rebuild, labor
Mm,
costs. So
Okay.
go back when we had the pandemic, and then we had supply chain issues. Uh,
yeah.
Oftentimes, those prices of lumber have shot up. The prices of you need to replace or rebuild have shot up. So those additional costs are going to be passed on to the consumer. And
Yeah.
that leads me into a little, I don't want to get too deep into it, but the cost to rebuild versus the market value of a home. One of the things that we get quite a bit of pushback on with from sometimes it's the insured or the customer. Oftentimes it's the other professionals, the realtors or the lenders, will may push back and say, "Hey, this house might have been a contract price of 500,000. Okay, so why am I? Why do I have $1.5 million worth of coverage? I don't need that, right? Insurance should be written, it's not my opinion. It's industry standard, should be based upon replacement. So replacement cost is not market value. Market value goes up and down based upon supply, demand, and so forth. This is the cost to rebuild. So if you had a total loss, what would be the cost of this house to be put back and made whole?
Right.
Insurance is a contract of indemnity, not to put you in a better position or put you in the worse, make you whole and put you back. And that's on the cost to rebuild, 100% cost to rebuild. Were you about to say
Right.
something, Dione?
Yeah, we're gonna go on to the next question because we got a lot to cover over here. But
Okay, we got a couple other points. I'll speed it up. So we got the storms, got the cost to rebuild. Also, insurance companies we buy, I don't buy it, but the companies buy insurance. It's called reinsurance. So those costs are going back up. So we spread some of that risk with another insurance company, bigger insurance company, and they also have had severe losses across the globe and so forth. Those prices are going up. So those are some of the major reasons. There's a few more other reasons, but it's not just a Chicago thing. It's a nationwide thing.
Right. Okay. All right. Lisa, you got one question, Ryan?
So I do have a question. So what coverage mistakes do you think Chicago homeowners are making? So like if you were looking at somebody's policy, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So part of it is, not necessarily the mistakes they're making. I mean, here's the thing: it's not price. Definitely does matter, and we all know, there's DTI issues or some other issues. There's a lot of sensitivity to pricing and the way it affects the ratios and so forth. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that the policy is going to perform properly. So proper coverage and then the price goes along with it. That's of the utmost. But a couple of the things that you see that's taken advantage of or for granted is replacement costs, which we went over. Another coverage is backup and sewer and drain, which is a form of water coverage, meaning if you go into your basement and your sump pump failed, and then you go down there and you see your carpet and your items are damaged and wet, that tends to be not an extremely expensive coverage, but it's an item that a lot of agents will leave off because it drives up the price a bit. So you see those things play with, meaning the replacement costs, and I would say failure to actually leverage water backup if needed. But those are the major two, things that we see and have issues with.
One thing I want to talk about, you mentioning the flood. No, you didn't say flood. You said the
water backup.
Water backup, right? Water backup, and a lot of people associate that with like, oh, well, is this a flood zone? Do I need flood insurance? And those are really two different things.
Completely different.
Yeah. Right, completely different, right? So that's one thing we probably want to share with people, like flood insurance in EJ. No, I ain't here to steal your show, right?
Yeah, it's two totally different things. I mean, once again, the reason why people partially get confused is because of the term flood, right? So from the insurance industry, flood really specifically means certain things. So a flood is like water driven, wind driven, storm driven. Think about Katrina, or there's a storm in which there's a flood surge, and you're gonna know when a flood happens, right? Versus the way we use the term flood. I wake up after a heavy rain, I'm going downstairs and I step in the basement and my socks are wet, and then cut the light on and be like, oh girl, man, my house flooded. Well,
Right.
technically your house flooded, but from what we call a flood, just common people, not the insurance industry, that's not a flood. That's the result of a backup or sewer drain or maybe a sump pump failure. So both of them are water coverages. The flood insurance is handled separately, not by the insurance company, but as a byproduct of FEMA, right? And so that's a different policy that's required. I mean, I know you all have probably went into it before. Lisa, like if she's underwriting and doing your mortgage, if you're in a flood zone, which a realtor would know, then they're gonna, based upon being in that flood zone, they're gonna require you to have flood insurance, and you'll know.
Right. Right.
Versus
It's
water
gonna cover
backup is
national
optional
flood
coverage,
insurance
which is
protection.
fully
Right.
up to you if you want to take that risk or not. But it should be explained to you. But a lot of times, when people are going through the home buying process, there's so much going on, right? A variety of houses, a roller coaster of emotions, all the stuff with the mortgage and getting that taken care of. And then, you have a conversation with the insurance person, which oftentimes, for whatever reason, it can be felt to be like an afterthought or whatever. Maybe the insurance professional didn't explain it to them. And even if I did go over it, how much of that information are you really going to retain if it's
Right.
the first time you've ever heard of it? So
I
it's a
do
lot
have a
of just
question because this
misconceptions,
comes
myths,
up
and
a lot.
confusion. But I think a lot
Something
of
that
it
comes up
is
a
around
lot.
that term, what we in
Yeah.
normal day life would say flood. My basement flooded. Well, yeah, it did because it's a bunch of water there, but that's not an insurance definition of a flood. So
So
Yeah.
what
oftentimes
would be
we
something
think
that
it's
will actually be covered by water backup?
that would, yeah, if you had water backup coverage, or a sump pump, that would be covered. Like you see that in Chicago a lot, right?
Yeah.
When it backs up at the main and then it pushes into the house, that's the coverage you need, because the flood policy wouldn't respond to that. It wouldn't cover that. Specifically, water backup would.
Perfect. So I think our viewers are going to need to know that, because that usually is a question that comes up. People assume that if what they call a quote unquote flood, that now they
Yep.
should be able to call the insurance companies like, did you get water backup? Because if you
Right.
didn't, then don't
Yep.
waste
And
your time
And you
calling.
can't.
right. And I
And
think
you,
I
go ahead.
think another thing that also happens with homeowners with the water backup insurance is that they don't get enough coverage. They done put in a whole nice basement, TV, 75-inch television, leather couch and everything else, and then they only got water backup
Water
insurance.
backup
Right, water
for
backup
5,000.
for 5,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have that, and then you'll have people call in and think that it's going to be like retroactive. Once the claim hit, if you don't have the coverage, there's nothing that nobody can do. And matter of fact, what you'll see happen is, you all don't see it, but like we'll see it. There'll be a moratorium that's pushed from the insurance companies that will say, all right, we had a flood incident. I can't bind coverage for backup and sewer and drain for the next 30, 60 days. Because you'll
Oh,
have people
wow.
that'll come and say, oh, this was retro, oh, this happened here and there.
Yeah.
But no. And everybody, they don't want to pay for it, so they
Mhm.
want somebody else to be on the hook for it. But it's not retroactive, unfortunately.
Okay.
Okay. Wow.
That's interesting. That makes sense though.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we do you all get this where you don't think that your customers are understanding how deductibles work?
That's pretty straightforward. You'll get people not understanding deductibles, or mixing up a deductible, or really understanding the difference between replacement costs and actual cash value, which has a depreciation factor that's built into actual cash value. So a lot of people will get that confused. Deductible is just a self-insured portion. You're gonna be self-insured up to that first $100,000 or whatever your deductible is. And once the claim is above and beyond that, then the insurance company will kick in minus that amount.
Yeah.
Right. All right, I got another question for you. What can buyers do before closing to keep their insurance costs lower? So, what's some ways to?
I don't know if there's any proactive thing that you can really do to impact the insurance policy that I can think of outside of a couple of, like if you got some alarms, but once again, those are minor. It's not like a major circumstance. I think just more so be aware of the situation of your home. And what I mean by that is, when were the utilities updated? Utilities, so the electric, the plumbing and so forth was updated. This is new versus 60 years ago. So it's more so checking for accuracy. So you have that in play. One of the things we could talk about separately that we see as a big issue in Chicago in particular, but everywhere, are the roofs, right?
Yeah.
The roof, things have changed in the last few years where these having tons of roof claims. And that's really largely driven by those people that's knocking on your door.
Yes,
saying,
yes,
hey,
yes. I was just gonna say it.
Had a claim. They got a full roof, and you need to get yours. All you got to do is let me call your insurance. But what they're not letting you know is insurance is about direct incidental physical loss. So say like you got 100% of the roof, but a quarter of the roof is only damaged. The quarter of that roof should be replaced as long as it's not some integrity or that's compromised as a result of the damage. But the contractor want to get paid off of 25% of they want to get paid off of 100% of a roof. So they get these roof replacements, and they speak like, hey, you're owed this, or as if you've been paying into like a pension or something, and now it's time to collect. They don't let you know that this is going to come back and potentially hurt you. And as a result of that, speaking of deductibles, insurance companies have to respond. And once again, this is not like the defense. I'm a consumer too. So just because I work for I'm an insurance agent or sell that product, doesn't mean like I'm subject. I have a different set of rules that I live by, or I'm subject to all of this too. And so as a result of that, you're starting to see some price fluctuation and some issues with the roofs, where they're putting these larger wind hail deductibles on there that a lot of insurance agents would just skirt over. It might be like a 2 or 2.5 that's separate from your normal policy deductible or above your normal deductible. And that's a result to combat some of is really going on. The consumer is misled because who doesn't want a roof? And you see your neighbors getting them, and why shouldn't I get them? And so there's some things that's going on that's not necessarily on the up and up. Not to point the finger at anybody in another industry.
Yeah.
And I think we've all experienced that, where knocking on the door, hey, we're in your neighborhood. That's because they're storm chasing.
Yeah. And you know what? I've seen in policies more now is, I forget the term for it, but it has something to do, like if your roof is more than 15 years old, I think now what they do is they will put this special
ACV.
They put this special condition on it. What is it?
It drops to either no roof coverage or like ACV, actual cash value. So that's like a depreciation.
Yes, right.
So you're not getting like full replacement costs.
Exactly. Which now I don't necessarily agree with that, because a roof should technically last you more than 15 years, right? They saying this.
But I mean, the truth of the matter is, and once again, not defending any insurance company or anything, I'm subject to the same rules. But when I was an underwriter, we would see like the insurance part, the homeowners insurance for years. People would treat it like it's a thing of, convenience I'm inconvenienced by this. No, it's really meant for more catastrophic type of stuff, not things of inconvenience or using it as like a home warranty, which is completely separate, but dovetails really well with an insurance policy to the point where I believe that every, especially new home buyer, should purchase or should be aware that you need a warranty to go hand in hand, because those items will break. We don't cover wear and tear. Which they know.
I said Dione suggests that with every customer.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about
Dion's
bundling?
A good realtor, right?
What you say? What he say?
Dion's a good realtor, right?
I am. Thank you.
That's what good realtors do.
Right. What about bundling policies? Does that help any?
Yeah. So bundling is just really, taking two policies, mainly auto and home, and bundling those together, and you'll get a discount as a result of having those. Oftentimes, over the last few years with the hard market, there's a lot of carriers that won't let you write monoline, meaning just the home. You need both, because really a lot of the profitability comes from having the auto policy, because the home is, from an insurance standpoint, a lot of times because of all these claims activity, a lot of times ends up being a break even, if not a losing product, which why you're seeing a lot of insurers like jump rates or pull out of areas altogether.
Yeah, which was one of my questions, because neighborhoods and pricing in neighborhoods seems to vary as well. So maybe you might be in one area, price is this, and somewhere else it's a whole different price. Very similar homes.
Oh, very much so. For there's zones and subzones, or which have different rates, or different parts of the country with different fire protection. Like Chicago is in a great situation because of our fire department. Our fire department is one of the best in the world, and so the rating is different. It's less than if you're in some rural area, and the next responding fire station is 7, 8, 10 miles away, where in Chicago is usually somewhere between 1 to 2 miles away. So you got that factor. One of the things that's changed, that's frustrating for us, and we can't necessarily do anything about it, is a lot of insurers, and specifically when we were having these increased claims, they don't want to write flat roofs. And so in Chicago, we have a bunch of flat roofs. And so there's some carriers which they just won't write them. They wrote them before, back when, the market was up and booming and everything. But now, a lot of carriers have stopped writing flat roofs.
Oh, yeah. Flat roofs.
No, Progressive definitely won't.
What'd you say?
Especially,
I know Progressive definitely won't. Progressive won't do flat roofs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you can't do, so basically that's like a multi-units.
Yeah.
But we still have some carriers that would do them, but they're going to charge you for it. But that's something that's changed, especially for us, that we see a lot.
Yeah.
So that's when you get that $4,054.67 premium back.
That and everything else, but you're actually starting to see some rate reduction, and that's part of the benefit of having multiple companies. You can really see how they're reacting and their underwriting, how tight or how loose it is, versus if you just one company, is just your experience versus the industry experience. You can kind of find, what's the new pattern.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, we've been here for a good 30 minutes, and right.
It didn't seem like it, but yeah.
No, we love when we bring in special guests to educate us on different things, because not only do you guys learn, but we learn as well. So we're really excited. If you are looking for insurance, Eric Johnson, Goosehead Insurance, has his phone number down there. He can give him a call. Him and his assistant, Dima. Is she assistant, or what's her title?
Dima running it. Really, Eric just be there in name, but Dima actually is running it.
Right. That's what I said. And I gotta give a shout out to Diva, right?
Yeah.
Right, but definitely give them a call. They'll give you a quote. They'll look at different companies to get you the best rate. And when you're working with us, they're our first referral that we send out to you once you're under contract. We let you know you need insurance, and Dima will give you a call and get you started. So,
Yep.
all right. And then if you're starting out buying and you need to get pre-approved first, because that's what we tell you, pre-approval first. There's Lisa White's gonna get you pre-approved. She's gonna help you get started, determine your budget, and then I will help you find the house and connect you with all the right people and the right house. So
All right, there we go. I'm pointing.
So
we flipped around. I don't ever know which way to point.
Right, which way to point. Right. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you.
Another water cooler Wednesday. We'll see you all next week. Thank you.
Next
All right.
week.
Thanks, DJ.